But before all that, it's time for the back pages.
OTB AM.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.
As you can imagine, it's Limerick leading the way on the back of most pages. The back of the Indo then this morning is Limerick soar to new heights. Kylie wary of old ghosts as treaty hold nerve to earn final say. You've also got Taylor made up. Title fight helps Katie cope with tough time for family. Red headaches. Gloomy Mourinho admits United in trouble for new season. And Nico Roach says Thomas's tour victory hasn't come out of the blue. Limerick soaring to new heights, that's the thing. And Shane Dowling's comments after the match very striking to say, everybody calm down for a moment here. We'll enjoy tonight, maybe tomorrow night, but after that, the next 2.5 weeks after the next couple of nights are going to be hard work.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will, but like Shane Dowling is one of these guys who is absolutely brilliant to interview, and he always says something great. So it's hilarious that he's saying, you know, calm down, because like he comes out with some great comments like we're not just there to march behind the band. He's great value.
There is an element though of celebrating a semi-final when I know semi-finals are there to be won to get to finals.
Semi-finals are for winning. Isn't that what they keep telling us?
But like, especially the manner in which it happened, surely that's a factor in the dressing room last night where it's like, God, that was drama, that was amazing. Yeah. We have to sort of appreciate what an amazing win this will be remembered for as well. Like, that is a factor, surely.
Yeah, and as well for Limerick, because they're so infrequent. Since they won the All-Ireland in 1973, they've only won 4 games at Croke Park in the Championship, which 2 were against Antrim in 94 and 96, which, you know, all due respect, Antrim weren't All-Ireland challengers, really just by fact of them getting straight to the All-Ireland semi-final. In 2007, then they beat Clare, who weren't exactly heavy hitters, and Waterford, who were jaded from 2 games against Cork. So they really have flopped on this stage for a long time. And did they actually win this game? They drew the game, and then they went to extra time. And it's interesting, of the 29 championship games that we've had this year, of the greatest season of the greatest sport ever of all time, that there's been 6 draws. And there's been, I wrote them down here just so I could drive the boot into you, but there's been 2 games that have just been separated by 1 point, and 4 by 4 points as well, or by 2 points. So that tells you how close this championship has been. And so moving on to the next page.
Yeah, the front page of the Irish Examiner sports section is wide-eyed wonders. Limerick come from behind to stun Cork in extra time epic. Anthony Daly is saying it was mad, crazy, epic, romantic and perfect 24 hours. Class appraisal game for the ages served up by Clare and Galway. And you've got some athletics and you've got some Ballybrit preview there as well. Like, that is the thing that you say there about the draws. But even once that lead was wiped out from Galway, once they were 9 points up and that lead was wiped out and we realised we were in a cauldron of a game on Saturday, that's when I started to realise that this is the most wide open championship ever. That the playing field is so level. We're close to a plateau now at this point when you look around and you look at the teams that have been knocked out, and like obviously Kilkenny and Tip there, but even Wexford, like you've got a proper top 7 or 8, and Waterford in there as well. A top 7 or 8 that can all win All Irelands. And we're living in an era of hurling at the moment which is not just throwing up classic games, but potentially as a result of this, it's also throwing up a class level of parity, which is brilliant. You can make a case for any team really at the start of the year, and like there'll be plenty of people saying, well, I thought Limerick were my dark horses at the start of the year. Well, I'm sure there was just as many people saying, well, Waterford were my dark horses at the start of the year, and look where they are. So it's class.
And there's teams gone that are no worse. Like Tipperary, if they were still in there now, and you know the round robin continued whereby they played all the Leinster teams and vice versa, you'd have had some more brilliant games involving Tipperary. Dublin as well, we haven't really mentioned them, but they lost games by 2 points, 2 points and 1 point, and they beat Offaly as well. So they were really close to the standard in Pat Gilroy's first year. So give them another year, and how much better will they be? Eventually will there be a critical mass with the Dublin footballers where they've such a huge panel which includes dual players? Will some of them be like, well, I'm not getting a game here, so maybe I'll throw my lot in with the hurlers, and I'm sure Pat will be happy to take them over. So I'd be watching out for Dublin too, because I think they're going to be coming again.
Yeah, I'm certainly rooting for the Dublin hurlers to be very successful over the next couple of years, over the next couple of decades. At the front page of the Irish Times sports section this morning is Limerick leaders make final stand. That's Malachy Clerkin's report from Croke Park yesterday. And Limerick's reinforcements prove vital to the cause again, and like you mentioned this point already, the importance of the subs. But like you talk about Galway, and I know the reason why you made the point is because everybody talks about Galway depth and them bringing back on players, but obviously Clare and Cork very famously over the course of the weekend with the likes of Shane O'Donnell and Daniel Carney making reappearances in the game, despite the fact that Daniel Carney was completely crocked.
Well, you have to wonder too with Cork, they did have to take a lot of their pace off the team, so they were 6 points ahead and they faded late on in the game. But you know, like ultimately the likes of Dara Fitzgibbon finished on the bench, Daniel Carney finished on the bench. I think Shane Kingston went off at one point, Harnedy. So they took off a lot of the guys who had a big impact, and in most cases to do with injury as well. So that definitely hurt them, whereas Limerick were able to basically bring on Napierchik. And William O'Donoghue probably doesn't get massive credit, but he gets stuck in and he gets on a lot of ball. He's definitely a forceful player. Shane Dowling, obviously, and I think everyone was delighted to see how he went, because he's such a heart on the sleeve type player.
And obviously had like a tough old earlier portion of the year as well with the club as well, with the conclusion to the season and all that sort of stuff. Like,
I'm sure that was
a crucial free like laid on in a game against Coola.
Yeah, that would have put them 4 up going into injury time the first day. But like, he's such a good player, and he's delivered for Limerick so often down through the years. Like, he came on and nailed a free straight away from the sideline. And if you think back to 2013, the last time they were in All-Ireland semi-final, he didn't start, but Declan Hannon did. He was, I think, centre forward at the time, and he was taking the frees, and I think he missed 4 in a row. They weren't going well at all. Dowling comes on straight away and nails him over. So he's got previous here. He's able to do it, and I think uniformly everyone is happy to see him do it as well, just because of that heart in the sleeve nature.
Yeah, definitely. Like, also as well, just another thing that sometimes grinds people's gears is like, well, there's no serious analysis of the game. I mean, like, surely the losers need to be critiqued just like the losers in football get critiqued. But I kind of find myself coming around to the idea that it's very hard to critique Cork on the back of yesterday, like, given the way that Nash managed to turn his puckouts around, the Conor Lehan goal, the Conor Lehan performance. Dara Fitzgibbon, I thought, was magnificent yesterday as well. I'm being sucked into hurling snobbery here, Shane.
You are. I mean, we need to go for a few pucks just to get you going here. But how do you criticise teams that go this far, like 90 minutes into a game? They've left everything out on the pitch, and if you tell them, well, you should have done that with the ball. Well, I'm absolutely wrecked. I didn't see your man outside me. I'm been used to being tackled hard by 3 players coming on me for the last 75 minutes. How do you expect me to spot something over there? I'm struggling to get oxygen into my brain.
Yeah, that's the thing. The back page of the Times this morning goes with probably the photo of the weekend. It's Pat Ryan there, the Green Giants. Where does Pat Ryan's goal rank in the course of yesterday's mayhem?
It was excellent, but I've seen him do it before, right? So I mentioned the Napierchik guys go on, and obviously I mean Peter Casey as well, excellent player. Pat Ryan is from Doon, and earlier on this year we played a challenge match against UL, and he made such fools out of Oisin Goff and Dara O'Connell. It was hilarious. He got the ball in the corner, he turned, fake shot past one, fake shot past the other, left the 2 of them looking for hot dogs, and just buried the ball in the net. So, like, he's got such savage pace, and he's an excellent hurler, and I think he didn't make the panel for one of the games this year as well, but he's obviously impressing enough to be brought on, because you wouldn't be thrown out there unless you offered something.
No, definitely not to the heat of that battle. Let's show you the front page of the Irish News sports section, or the back page of the Irish News, I should say. In for a treat. Of course, that's the Limerick story from yesterday. Let's show you the back page of the Racing Post. It's the big one. Froome 5-2 to burst Geraint's bubble in 2019. Of course, Geraint Thomas won the Tour de France yesterday. And finally this morning, let's show you the Limerick Leaders sports section, or the front page of the Limerick Leader, full stop, I should say. Cracker and Croker, Limerick stage brilliant comeback. They're en route to win in All-Ireland for the first time since 1973. It's a famine of sorts.
Doesn't Sean Finn look a little bit like Justin Long from Dodgeball there? Do you know that character?
He could probably dodge a spanner and a ball, Finn, to be honest with you.
Dodge, duck and dive.
That's exactly what Limerick did yesterday. We need more dodgeball references on this show, quite frankly.
Patches O'Houlihan.
Patches O'Houlihan. Fine hurling man, I'd say Patches. He'd be a hurling. He's a dodgeball snob, Patches O'Houlihan.
Sure he is. How did we end up on that?
Let's have a look at the Red Tops.
Yeah, so from the Mirror, extraordinary. It's that picture of Pat Ryan again and Shane Dowling there celebrating his penalty, which of course he did cross the line for striking it, but hey, I think we're all delighted it wasn't called back anyway.
It didn't even, just reading a bit this morning, commenting on Shane Dowling's confidence in going for goal, it didn't even strike me at the time that a point might have been on.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, if I was in Shane Dowling's position, I'm probably putting that ball over the bar. Fair play to him.
No, if you have a chance to finish off a game, you do it.
I suppose you do.
Yeah,
when you've got that skill as well, I suppose I'm not really factoring in the idea that I probably wouldn't be able to find the top corner.
And the way he kind of shaped to go one way and just cut across the ball.
Because, yeah, like what explain that, like, just how did he put Nash off? So, like, it almost looked like it took a deflection. Obviously it didn't, but that's the way Nash's body moved.
Yeah, well, far be it from me to tell people how to take penalties. I can barely hit the ball out of my way. But, like, if you kind of shape up that way and then kind of just open out the face of it that way, do you know, like if you were to miss hit a golf ball, because you opened up the face too much. I'd imagine that's how he did it, but far be it from
That's
me.
a very difficult thing to do.
I'd say for a guy who's practicing it since he's 4 years of age, it's like a second nature to him.
Right, okay.
Like some of these lads are just unbelievable with the ball in hand, and
Yeah.
let the hurling snobbery continue from here.
Oh no, it was class. It was top class goal.
Yeah, there's a bit of football as well. Jose is SOS to United World Cup stars, so he's he says United are in trouble. They're over there on tour. Did you see Shaqiri's goal against United?
The bicycle kick.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
Jesus. Good as you'd see.
I was because before all the hurling madness started, actually on Saturday, I was just sitting at home on Saturday afternoon. I turned on Arsenal against PSG.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't mean to alarm anybody, but Arsenal are winning the Premier League. They beat them. What was it, 4-1, 5-1 at the end? They've got this kid, Guendouzi, a 19-year-old kid they signed from Lorient in the middle of the summer. He is world class. Next Paul Scholes, as I say.
You're saying that Arsenal have signed another young lad from France?
It never goes wrong.
No.
Signing young lads from France never goes wrong from
The new
Arsenal.
Vieira?
The new Vieira.
Yeah.
He might be the new Vieira, like 12.0, but he's still the new Vieira. That's all that matters. Arsenal to win the Premier League.
Yeah, and Unai Emery going back to his former employers there.
Yeah,
That sounds
real revenge.
bitter scenario there, was it?
I'm sure that's got a Wikipedia page all on its own. The Revenge of Unai.
Right, the Hurled double epic at Croker, that same picture of Justin Long / Sean Finn, and it names out all the stats that I had just named out actually there as well. And there's racing pullouts and all that kind of stuff there. The Star, Green Giants, so there's a picture of Shane Dowling. Kylie pleads for Cam as Dowling inspires Limerick. Galway sweat on Canning, so it'd be very interesting to see the injury news on him, because he really was limping off heavily. He seemed to jar his knee, according to Carl O'Kane there. His eyesight is obviously better than mine.
Yeah, I missed the Canning thing entirely. It was just, I kind of turned around and there he was sitting on the bench.
Well, at one stage, he was going in for a challenge, and he fell over and someone seemed to fall on top of him, but it looked rather kind of innocuous. It wasn't one of those things where it's pretty obviously like that he jarred his knee or something like that. You know, the way Colin McCarran did a few weeks ago for Tyrone. So you always wonder with those what exactly happened, but for Canning's and Galway's sake, hopefully it's just an impact injury, because
Yeah, the McInerney one looked a little bit more severe. I'm just judging that on how long he was down for.
Yeah. Do you know, if Galway were to be able to carry, you know the way everyone always says, geez, how would Galway be without Dahi Burke and Gerard McInerney? I think Gerard McInerney, of the two, is the one that they'd say, okay, if we're going to have to miss one of them, let him be it, because I think Pádraig Mannion can step in at centre back and do an excellent job. And
there is also the ghost of that Callanan performance as well, as you mentioned a few minutes ago. Like there's people like even just milling around before the game when everybody thought that Dahi Burke was out. People were like, "Oh God, remember that performance from Callanan a couple of years ago?" It's nothing to do really with Hanbury, because I thought, like, obviously Shane O'Donnell had a good game himself, but when Hanbury was on the ball, I thought he did relatively well. He's come on since then himself.
He's been really, really good this season, and he was brilliant in the replay.
It's just more the goats rather than the actual kind of putting Hanbury in there, and also how bloody good Dahi Burke is.
And you know, it was Pádraig Mannion who had the most trouble on Seamus Callanan that day, and Hanbury, like the penalty that Seamus Callanan won, Hanbury more or less did a WWF DDT manoeuvre on Callanan for the penalty, and that concussed Callanan and all. But so the Sun then, he had to go for it. Who's saying that now? Let's see.
Kylie,
yeah, fair enough. Talking about Shane Dowling. So battle of will as well. Real Madrid will make a £100 million double swoop for Chelsea pair Thibaut Courtois and Willian. Willian's a great player. Chelsea should
100 million for the two of them. Like in the
Pocket
modern
change.
scenario, yeah, that's pocket change, exactly. Pocket coinage.
Geraint the Great.
Geraint the Great.
I believe.
Do you believe?
Hashtag I believe.
Did you go home and watch the full kind of procession into the Champs-Elysees after the hurling last night?
I definitely did, just to come down a small bit. Yeah. I saw somebody tweeting that they needed to take up crack cocaine just so they could come down wean themselves off the hurling a little bit. I don't know if I should be saying that on a morning show, but there you go. Masters of Paris. Oh, Jesus, who cares? Geraint Thomas, whatever. Who cares? It's not hurling.
The Tour de France, we might reflect on some bit of the Tour de France at some stage this week. Tell you all about Geraint Thomas, where he's come from and how he managed to do this.